We're just gonna get a brief review of the match you guys had against the boys last week, just to help us prepare for Champions Cup a little bit. So, just gonna take a look at some of our build-up scenarios when we have possession of the ball, and this is when the opponent and the boys, when you guys played them, they started out in the first half. It seemed to be in a lower block, so numbers just deeper inside the center of the park. And then in the second half, they started to press a little bit more. So when you recognize this, center backs, you want to start to be a little bit more spread apart. So you want to have yourselves be a little bit more apart. And then outside backs, start to get your numbers up a little bit, or use a little bit higher space just to keep them honest. And you'll see situation here when the ball gets switched, which it's very important that, yeah, it's a quick little, check back, but you can see how many players they have. So as we try and get the ball around, the body shape and the positioning here, for, I think that's Eliza and Kathy and then Elle coming out, we want to make sure that the field is much bigger in this case, so that we can play this nice easy pass, even play it back to Mora. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to skip passes in the build-up. And so you see this player here is solos, and it's basically a 4v1, 5v1 if you count these players as well. And then all of their players are here. So, just a simple thing, just find the open player that has a little bit of open space, good regain mentality, on the turnover. But you can see that there's a lot more space there to be able to play. Not a bad job getting our numbers back and transitioning to defend as well. Very similar here. You can see they're in their lower mid block, mid to lower block. So outside backs, we want to start having you guys receive the ball a little bit higher up the field, so that these players in the middle are forced to be a little bit more um, specific and intentional in how they defend us. But again, right now you see, just going to do a quick little picture of it again. Just see, look, this is their entire defense is right here. So you can see that the open space now is probably going to be into this area or into this area. So the tempo of which center backs, play the ball, if you're going to take your space, that's great as well. But now the delivery, recognizing where the open space is, it's right in this area right there. So again, as we play into that area, can our left back get higher so that we create more numbers, and then Kathy will have to slide over, Elle will have to slide over as well. But now we can get the ball in behind into this open space right here and have some success, getting in behind their back line. Because the problem is now you end up having to transition to defend, and you can see, what our shape looks like, because the delivery of the ball wasn't really put into space where it could become dangerous against the opponent. So again, good work to get the ball back, and important there. So ball gets into this area, and again, now they're in a lower block here. The key is recognizing that it's time that we should switch to point of attack. We get it there, but can we get it to Elle here in an advanced position and play it in front of her? That's something we should be thinking about as well. So now we have a perfect opportunity to switch the point of attack again. Take a look at all the white shirts. Kathy, can you be in this area here? Can you, Lisa, be here and get this ball switched a lot quicker, instead of having to do it, make a home run ball all the way across the field? Can we play quickly to Eliza here, quickly here? And then all it does is it forces all their players to have to shift back and forth. When it's kind of a 50-50, it puts us under a little bit of pressure. And now look at the shape that we have when we're transitioning to defense. So this applies to next week, in similar situations. If we're playing against an organized defense, how do we get the ball into open spaces, where we can force them to run a little bit more and not put ourselves into too much pressure, when we have to transition to defend. And now you see that they're in a 3v3, and we do a good job of defending it. But again, this can hurt us when we play some of our opponents. So recognizing we're still in possession and, recognizing versus press how we want to get out, recognize the space that we need to have here. And we'll go back a little bit because the first ball, goes from the goalkeeper out wide. So in this situation, Aliza, can you get quicker, get under her quicker, and then can we start to stretch their press out so that if L plays a ball into this area, up here, then we at least have numbers to fight. Right now, we're just putting ourselves in a tough spot to try and get out. Kira's in a 4v1, 3v1 there. So just a quick short pass, a layoff, and then a long ball will always alleviate the press or always, take care of the press. And then now you can see how they're much higher in possession and they have numbers. So it's important for us to organize our lines and, recognize these moments. And again, we're forcing more to make a save when, we can avoid this with our buildup. So, and there's 3 or 4 clips that I did for you guys because it's the same thing happening over and over again. So once that starts to occur, we need to make sure that we find a different solution. So the solution right here is probably instead of Mora skipping the ball, is to play into Kathy there, or sorry, Aliza, and then Aliza can play. I don't know if that's Aliza or Kathy, it doesn't matter. And then Aliza can play it out to L, and then we can play it out because all we're doing is making this player run this way. If the initial pass goes out there, then all these guys have to do is run out there as soon as the ball is played, and they just wait, and they're just waiting to pick off a pass into this area here. So it's something for us to recognize when they have a set where they have all these players pressing, 4 or 5 players on top of our 18. It's really important for us to create the solution by playing it bigger a little bit earlier, and then that'll force them to drop back a little bit. And so now we've just got to make sure we're getting after the ball, clearing the danger. There's still players wide open. So on the negative ball here, on that negative ball here, we should be stepping up. And then on the next negative ball, I think it's just like a little clearance right there. We should be stepping up, stepping up, stepping up. Because now they have a player free on top of the 18. And we're kind of just all over the place. All right, so here's a same scenario, except for now you can see how this boy here, he had to run. Can we play quick? And then how do we get out of here is going to be very important. If we're going to do it on the ground, it's going to be there right away. Or if it's a one-touch ball into this space here, those are the solutions for us to get out. That's not a bad effort. It's just didn't go out of bounds or went out of bounds. So last one here, I think, in the possession side of things is really making sure that when we have an opportunity to switch the point of attack, again, let's take a look at all their players are on this side of the field, and we should be familiar because we train on this field. So, when they're in a quarter of a field, our objective is to get the ball over to this side. And there's lots of different ways to do it, but, getting into a melee where we're in the middle of the field, it's probably not the best idea. So here's another situation where we receive the ball, we gain it back, and now can we get the ball out? The key here is can we put the ball into some space? Not a bad effort, and then not a bad effort to get out. So, a little positive to see that once you see all those white shirts there, got to make sure we get the ball out. But here's the transition moment. Let me back up just a second. So as we lose this ball here, now we've got to, if we're going to press, we need to all get after the ball. But now you can see like they have space here to get out. Instead of us being all over it, the ball is bouncing around, and it's so important for us to make sure we have numbers around the ball. Good transition to defend moments here. We lose the ball. It's really important that we start working to get back into a recovery shape and not be in a wide shape, because you can see here, if we're able to come in to the middle, we can stop this kind of situation from happening where the kid gets on the ball, switches the point of attack. They don't really, nothing comes of it. But again, the reminder is on a loss of possession, make sure that we're all recovering to a spot where we can help. He gets the ball here. Can we start to recover into areas where we can help and create more density instead of giving them time and space on the ball? And you can see all that's happening here. If I just back it up here, ball is here. Look where our center backs are. Center backs are really far away. And I get it. You're protecting the space in behind, but we do need someone to be on this player a little bit tighter, which means we've got to be in, we've got to be in, and we've got to be in to defend that area. If he turns, he's going into a 1v4, maybe a 2v4, but again, we're now a little unorganized in how we defended this, so we're all over the place facing our own goalkeeper. And again, this is decent in terms of securing the ball, so nothing wrong with that piece. So defensive shape, as teams are starting to build up, we really need to pronounce and focus on this player playing up this direction. That's the key for us. So once they do this and switch the ball, we really have to make sure, and I think L comes into the picture, we really have to make sure instead of taking away this pass, we really have to let me back up. We really have to force him to play this way because Bristol's doing her job to stop him from playing to the goalkeeper. So now it's here, and we want to make play really predictable by forcing them, like I said before, into the quarter of the field that we sometimes train on. Since we don't do that now, watch that these players are all going to have to sprint all the way across the field because we don't force them to play one direction. So again, you can see that all of our players, all of our girls in black jerseys are now having to run all the way across the field. And it's just a little too taxing. That's not something we want to be in the habit of doing. So again, really important that we focus on forcing their goalkeeper, their center backs, and their outside backs to play in the direction that we want them to play, and not letting them dictate, how they're going to possess. And they don't score, but at the end of the day, we had to do a lot of running in that scenario, and it's probably not something we want to do. Moment here just on a throw in, we're 4v1 here, so can we be a little bit tighter, making sure we're not allowing this too much time and space to dribble. We're not very much recovered as a midfield four. We've got to be able to pick up any extra runner that comes in. So again, this is just a little resty defending. I'll start it over from the beginning. Pressure on that ball. Don't let them go in behind. Be a little tighter on our marks. And again, they get a corner out of it, I think, but